gonna do? What you gonna do when they come for you? Bad boys, what you gonna do?
Welcome in, everyone. It's Petty Officer Romero again from Job Corps, and we're going to talk a little bit about patrol today. Now, here's the thing. Back in the day, patrol used to be way different than what it is now. It used to be police work was kind of a community service, community policing. And what I mean by that, police officers didn't ride around in cruisers with computers and technology. Officers used to be stationed in a community, like, maybe X amount of blocks one way to X amount of blocks that way, and that person would walk around the neighborhood and they get to know everybody. So it wasn't about going out because there was a problem. It was about going out, and then while you were out, hey, Mr. Johnson, how's everything going? And then after a while, Mr. Johnson gets used to talking to you, Miss Patterson, Mr. Smith, and you get to know everyone. And then you stop and you lean over the stoop or the fence, and you just talk to them, and you just, how's life? And there's always the people might be a little bit more difficult. There's always the people that are just looking to talk, and then they'll tell you things about themselves. They'll tell you about their life, tell you about their grandson, tell you about how their daughter just made the cheerleading squad, or name whatever it is. My son he's gonna get a scholarship to play football. Really? Tell me about it. Who does he play for? What position does he play? My grandkids just went to summer school and they're going to come visit me when they get back. Oh my God, how long has it been since you've seen them? And then what happens is, as you just walk through the neighborhood, you become a part of the community. Nobody thinks twice about someone leaning over the fence, and instead of saying, hey, my son Jimmy is going to start the 7th grade next week, someone leans over the fence and says, there's these kids that that broke into this house over here. Or maybe the police officer actually says, hey, we've been having this problem over at the park. You know anything about that? Well, man, my son's friend's been getting involved with some stuff. And my point is that just by interacting with them, they can find out more information than a police officer who's in his car, who stops and talks to someone, and that person might be reluctant to give them information. So there's all kinds of negatives to it, negative connotations. So things have changed now, and I don't know. To me, I don't know why they still don't do something similar to that, but it is a little bit more challenging. There's, especially in this day and age where people are a little bit more adverse to police officers. But we can discuss a few things of the patrol officer. What is it that a patrol officer does? What is the need for the patrol officer? And the purpose of patrol is to detect criminal and unauthorized activity. Now, that may sound obvious, but the fact of the matter is, what you're doing is just trying to find something that's out of the ordinary. And if you patrol, and again, I'm talking more security, but it happens in law enforcement. Just generally, law enforcement has a much bigger area to cover. If you're just a security person, and I shouldn't say just a security person, what I'm saying is, if you're a security person, you're just responsible for the area that you're hired to patrol. So it might be just a few blocks. It might be an apartment complex. It might be a construction site. But that would be what you would be required to do. Then you're prevention and deterrent of crime and unauthorized activity. Now, we talked about that. Police officers, they're not really a deterrent. In some cases they can be, but generally speaking, because of the large area that they're responsible for and the lack of personnel, they're more responsive than they are a deterrent. The deterrent is the guy standing there in uniform, and people say, well, maybe I'll go to another place and try to rob that place or something because these guys have a security guard. All right, so I'm going to give you an example of a deterrent. Now, I've had conversations with people before, and they've said they don't know what this is, but what I'm going to do is give you a little bit of an idea what a deterrent is. And I just mentioned that if a security guard is standing outside of a building, it's much less likely that someone will go there. They'll just go somewhere where it's easier. So this right here, look at this item. This is called the club. And what this thing did is you would hook it to your steering wheel. Now, it's made of metal, and you can easily just basically you extend it and it hooks in the steering wheel. One part sits, you see the U part sits on the bottom part of the steering wheel, and then you kind of expand it up, then you lock it in place. Now here's the thing. You can probably cut through one of these things in no time. The problem is that why would you go break into a car that you would have to cut through a metal rod? It might take you an extra 5 minutes to do it. You find a car without a club. So it's not so much the club is such a heavy deterrent that no one would ever try to break into it, but it's a deterrent. It just makes you realize that there's easier targets, and that's the difference between a building with a security officer patrolling and not. All right, so let's see. Ensuring compliance with organizational policy. All right, obviously, you could be a security guard. You're hired. You drive around. You're looking for people violating the rules, even if it's employees. You know, you could be somewhat of a rule enforcer for the policies of the company. All right, so assist, report, record loss-causing situations and circumstances. Now, again, this is all back to what we were talking about, report writing. You're looking for things. If someone's doing something dangerous, there are security officers that their main job is just loss prevention. It could be loss prevention in a Walmart where you stop people from stealing stuff, but it could also be loss prevention where if you see someone doing something that could cause injury and is against company policy, then they'll ask you to be the one to stop and report it, and that would be something that you would be responsible for. Investigating as directed by the central alarm station, dispatch, or supervisor in charge. Okay, exactly what it says. Alarm goes off at a house. You could be working for ADT, and it could be a private community where when the alarm goes off, they actually send out a security officer to check it out. The response time, police officers and police departments do not respond to alarms very quickly because many times these alarms, they go off for no reason. And so the police department just assumes, and it goes low priority. They assume it's a false alarm. So many times the alarm goes off. By the time the police officers get there, that your house already been broken into, already been robbed, and the criminals are long gone. Test and inspect physical security systems. Obviously, if you're out there and you're conducting security, someone's going to want to go around, make sure all the cameras are working properly, all of the gates are locked, everything that involves security. You want a human out there making sure that it's done properly. All right. Act as a compensatory measure during outage systems. Now, that means you're the person that maybe you do have 1,000 cameras. You have all kinds of stuff going on that's security, high-tech stuff. What happens there at a power outage? Well, they're going to need somebody physically to go out and do that. So also respond to emergencies. You can have all the cameras in the world, but if alarm goes off and there's nobody to respond to it, again, police do not respond to those things very quickly. So if you are a security officer, you need to respond quickly to anything that happens. You're going to want to have security staff on board, patrol car available, and they get to go out there and check out the situation. And then obviously just performing any other random security services required by your boss. So there you go. There are the reasons why you need to have in-security patrol. You don't always have patrol officers. It could be a place that doesn't, it's a smaller community that you're patrolling. But sometimes it could be anywhere from a large apartment complex to a large industrial complex, or it could be a private security for a residential community with, let's say 30 or 40 houses. So if you're in that situation, they would want you to respond to alarm systems and any kind of instances, emergencies, and that's what you're there for. All right, this is Petty Officer Romero for Job Corps. Now, you remember that club because you never know when you might need to go old school and use that thing. So you guys, click, give me some comments, give me some feedback. Look forward to it, and we'll talk to you next time.
Tell me what you wanna do, what you gonna do. Yeah. Bad boys, what you gonna do? What you gonna do when they come for you? Bad boys, what you gonna do? What you gonna do when they come for you?